Hello again. It's been a long time since I've posted. I apologize. I've been busy, lots of projects, and I've got a fun little gadget here, the twister, with spelled with Z's. I'm really enjoying it, and I have my little in-between car purse project always handy with it, which I really like. It makes it easy. I was experimenting with color loops, trying to make the stripes all exactly the same number of rows, and I was using the leftover amounts to make a loop and doing weird things with them. And this one, I reattached the loops farther down after I braided them, and it's just terrible. It's definitely a design blooper. I thought you guys would think that's funny. I think it's funny. My family thinks it's terrible. They don't think I should even bother finishing this sock, but it's just for fun. So I'm working on it, and I'm enjoying using my twister with it. I bought this and one other knowing that I would like it. To have one to give away in a knit along. So I would like to invite anyone who's interested to participate in a knit along of any of my patterns, or even just using color loops with your own design. I'd like it to start in June and end October 1st, in time for everybody to do their fall knitting. And I just think it will be a lot of fun to have a conversation about color loops knitting. So I have started a thread in my Ravelry group, and I will link that below. And I'd also like to share with you my soon-to-be released project, which is finally the Knit Spin Farm sweater, which has had a couple different morphs, and I'm now calling it the Fanback Sweater because I'll show you. It has a semicircular back in a fan formation, and then the front are these plain increased triangles. So it's this really simple formula that can fit any body, any size. And I have written it up. I'm ready to release it to test knitters. Usually I just release my patterns, but this one I would really like people to knit it first before I release it to the public. So I have that described and posted up on Ravelry, and anyone who emails me their or gives me their email address, I can give you tester codes to list your project on Ravelry, but you don't have to use Ravelry. Like all designers now, I know that that's not for everyone, so emailing me is great, and Instagram is great. Any social media is great, but any not social media is fine too. This sweater is a lot of fun. It's easy. It's garter stitch. It's back and forth. It's formulaic, and I think it's foolproof. So it ends up stretching shoulder to shoulder with this in the back, and it's reversible because the fabric has a more subtle effect on the right side, and then the more vertical stranding on the wrong side. So you could choose which side to use. And on the pattern page, you'll see that I knit a newborn size for my new little nephew. And I chose the right side as the visible side, and for my niece, his older sister, I used the wrong side as the visible side. And they both look good. And they're both stretchy and cushy with the garter effect. It's the color loops do break up the garter stitch, so it's not like number knitting. It doesn't have that one-to-one row stitch ratio. It's a little bit widened, but just a little bit. This is my swatch with no increases in it, just measuring color loop lengths so that I could grade the pattern. I only used fingering / sport weight yarn, but this is transferable to any yarn, because if you use the loop length for your size, it should give you enough length to travel that same distance no matter which yarn you use. And you may not use as many stitches, of course, using a heavier weight yarn, but the loop length should last the same amount. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm not going to try to finish that sentence, actually. The point being, you can play with yarn weight. And in fact, what I really want to do for my next sweater is I want to use silk mohair. I have this Shibui silk cloud, as you guys know from other projects that I've done. And I plan on making my color loops with this. And even doubled, it's going to be really delicate and subtle. And pair it with this Pearl Soho linen quill, which we know from the half and half triangle wrap is just perfect for garter stitch knitting. So I plan on transferring that to my sweater and making this my main color and not having a contrast color yoke. My initial vision for this sweater was to use self-striping yarn. I think it's really beautiful how it is irregularly striping and pooling, and it, for a teeny tiny newborn sweater, it could be used the entire time. I mean, you don't need a contrast tonal or solid or anyway, you don't need two different yarns. You could use the same yarn for the whole sweater, like I did for my nephew. Actually, the sleeves I did in just gray. The point of the sweater is the yoke. What you do with the yarns that you choose, whether you have a contrast or not, is completely up to you. And in fact, I could use this same yarn for the color loops and the main yarn. It doesn't have to have a contrast color yarn. I personally find joy in a slight amount of contrast, and it just makes it also easy, very, very easy to know where you are and what you're doing if you have that color loop contrast. I mean, there is no guessing about what you do next when you get to a color loop that is a different color. And that's part of the joy of color loops. So let's see, what else can I say about this pattern? The sleeves, the body are up to you. I am going to have to finish this sweater because I want my needles to free up to do the other one. But I plan on having a button band and pick up stitches around the neck to have a nice ribbing V-neck cardigan. It's also very easy to, let's see if I can just throw this on. I don't even know if it's the right way or the wrong way, but you could overlap a couple stitches at the V and make it a knit around all-in-one seamless yoke sweater. So that's very doable. You can also make it a little big and cross it over so it overlaps even more. If you do overlap just one stitch, you could pick up stitches around the V and make a nice ribbed V-neck band. So there's lots of options, and I didn't want to make this just one thing. I wanted it to be a universal do what you want type sweater. And I think it's so flexible that I'm very excited to see what other people might come up with. So what I would like is if people knit whatever size, whatever yarn they want to knit, but they share their experience with me. And so I hope the knit along helps spur that and energize that. But that said, if you want to make socks or cowls or any of my other sweaters, that would also be wonderful. So I just hope this is a happy summer of knitting, and I think that's it. Prizes. October 1st I will draw prizes. How that goes, but I also wanted to offer some Knit Spin Farm yarn as a prize too. I know that they are busy with the farm over the summer, and so they aren't dyeing yarn or updating their website. But by October, I'm sure there will be lots to choose from, and lots of yarny stuff. So I would like to offer some prizes from there. Anyhow, let me know if you have any questions. Look up the description of the Fanback Sweater in Ravelry or email me. I would be happy to send anyone the PDF so that they can get started. Actually, it's not quite ready yet. I will have it ready in the next day or so. I just need to do a little bit more writing, and that, it's hard to know exactly when that's done. So, but the math is easy, the process is easy, and if you have a couple minutes, go pick out some yarn and think about how you'd like your Fanback sweater to be. So thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day, and let me know if you have any questions or comments. Thanks.